I don't have many vices. A vice that I do have is I will whisper because I have older family listening that I do smoke. I am a smoker. I'm the medical definition of a smoker. You smoke one a day, congratulations, you're a smoker. But I appreciate rules. I appreciate that if I'm at a place of work or I'm at a function or if I'm at the NASREC Expo Center and the rules say you have to go 100 meters from where the entrance is, I will either obey that rule and go and walk that distance, or I wouldn't. Or I wouldn't smoke at all. But what I experienced this weekend are a number of people with vapes and vape pens and vape gadgets, some even hanging around their neck, and they think that they're taking a cheeky puff because it's not tobacco smoke, it's vapor. But what they think is a cheeky little puff ends up being this cloud. Everyone can see that you've just issued from your mouth a literal cloud. And I got thinking, so why is it that if I go for a cigarette and have a smoke, there's general smoke that is expelled from my mouth, but it's not at the consistency of this cloud that comes from a vape pen, and people who vape generally feel that is more socially acceptable than cigarette smoke. So I found this video by the Becky Cesar Center for Health Journalism speaking to the South African Medical Research Council, who's been answering this question: why does a vape pen bring out so much smoke, which vapors say, no, don't worry, it's just vapor. Joining me now, Catherine Egbe, Senior Specialist Scientist at the SAMRC Tobacco Research Arm. Good morning, Catherine. Really appreciate your time. In a short pressed version, why is there so much smoke that comes from a vape pen or gadget with even the most tiniest of puff?
Thank you, Lester. Good morning, and good morning to the listeners. Thank you for having me. I think the short answer to your question is because of the vegetable glycerin, which is one of the components of the e-liquid, or what some people call the vape juice or the e-juice. So that is the component of the vape that makes the big clouds and makes people feel, their throats, it's smooth on their throats, so they feel it's sweet, so it's okay for them because they feel that, okay, they are having some sweet sensation and niceness, and then they use and then it makes the big clouds, and then they feel, this is cool or something. So
well, before you go further, when you say vegetable glycerin, some of my mind goes to cooking oil. So put that to rest. What is vegetable glycerin?
It's usually used in some foods anyways, like it's used in foods, it's used in cosmetics, but it's not like it's made to be smoked. But it's one of those components that are used for making the e-liquid, to reduce the harshness of the nicotine on the throat.
So this PG, there's propylene glycol and there's vegetable glycerin. That is to give the sensation of hitting at the back of the throat that is supposed to mimic what a traditional tobacco cigarette does. But then that vapor then is expelled, and it is then this big plume of smoke. But what do you classify that? Do you classify that as vapor? Do you classify that as smoke? Because I've driven past people and I've seen on the roads, and people would take a hit of their vape pens, and then such a cloud would billow out of their car windows that you'd think that there's a fire in their car. So do you call it vapor? Do you call it smoke?
We call it aerosol. That is why when someone is using e-cigarette, we don't say the person is smoking e-cigarette, because it's typically not smoke that is produced, but aerosols or vapor.
And within that propylene glycol, within that vegetable glycerine and also of the flavorings, that is there to mask the nicotine. Because nicotine doesn't really taste that great, and
Yeah,
all these
nicotine is harsh. It's
yeah.
harsh, actually.
So all these other chemicals are there to mask then what is then a sort of acrid taste of nicotine.
Yeah. So the vegetable glycerin, the propylene glycol, they all I feel I can explain it to say they are like kind of they are used to like carry the nicotine, and then the ratio of the vegetable glycerin and the propylene glycol also determines how much of the nicotine you take in, and how much the person using the product will say they enjoyed it. Because of course, if there is a higher proportion of VG, that is the vegetable glycerin,
Mm.
you feel it's sweeter and it carries the flavors. And but we shouldn't forget that when these components of the e-liquid they are heated, they tend to form substances that are harmful to the body. So I think that's where many of the people who use these products, they fail to recognize the fact that yes, these products, some of them are even made from plants, and but they've
Mm.
not been tested to be smoked. It's just
Yeah.
like someone saying, "Oh, because we drink water every day, we can smoke water." That's not going to make you feel okay, because that's not made to be smoked.
Okay.
Your
So
lungs are not made for those things.
so that's in the plumes that I've seen people all week. And Catherine Egbe, she is a senior scientist at the South African Medical Research Council. Thanks so much for joining us.